screen now will see that. We're going to use today this presentation. I'm going to give you some steps about what's going to be the purpose of the course, and then we're going to go into more detail. But I'm also going to give you access to the online course, the new one that we have set up in our learning environment. And I will explain to you as we move to the course, to the training, the purpose of each one of these components, of each element. So you're going to see me shifting those two screens, the website, and then shifting back to the slides. So basically what we have today is our agenda. We're going to have this training for 5 days, Monday through Friday. Today we're going to be looking at introduction and objectives of what is a course. The purpose about all of this training is that I'm going to take you through the elements of the online course. Tomorrow we're going to look at the pre-course activities, on Wednesday, week 1, and Thursday, week 2. And on Friday, we're going to look at the final exercises and some of the closing elements of the course. The idea behind all of this course is that you have a good understanding about the course objectives, then understand what is your role as a facilitator. And this is important because it helps us have a good understanding of how you facilitate an online course, but also what are some of the elements that you need to learn in order to facilitate. I'm also going to take you to the course structure and the content. We're going to look a little bit of Moodle setup. That is the tool that we use in the online system. So it will be very beneficial that you have an understanding of how the system works behind the scenes, because you're going to be now in control of some of those basic features that you're going to need to learn to use it in order to work on the course. We're also going to look today at the role of technical support. That is the support that the environment, the virtual environment, will provide you. We'll look at some of the welcome messages that need to happen as we start the course, a setup checklist, an activity that we'll have ready for you to start next session. So let's begin a little bit in terms of the objectives of the course. I think we're all familiar with them. It's to learn those fundamental tools and concepts, process, and the language of project management. That is what the course is behind it. It doesn't mean that you as a facilitator need to be an expert in all of these components. A lot of the training is being designed for people to have an environment where everybody can have a common understanding of certain terminology, certain process, certain elements that are available in the course. Your role as facilitator is not necessarily to teach people, it's to help them find the learning, help them find the knowledge. And that is the role. We have the discussion forums, and those are going to be the key components of the learning, where people are going to be gathered together, answering some questions, having some discussions, and your role there is going to be guiding those conversations to make sure that everybody has that common understanding. The idea behind this course is always that people at the end have that common knowledge of the project management and its terms, and they can apply it to their job. We made some modifications during the breaks with Carolina and Dylan, and we updated some components that we will see now in the course. Your role as a facilitator is basically the one in which you're going to be guiding people into the learning process based on the material, based on the documents that we have. That is going to be your main role. It's going to be people trying to have an understanding, and you're going to be helping them and guiding them. Another important element of being a facilitator is encouraging participation. And that is difficult on an online environment, because in a virtual environment, you have people connecting to the site not on a regular basis, and you have to do a lot of emails and using the site with the messages so that people know where they need to be. You encourage with the messages. You either send a message to the entire class or you send a message to individuals to make sure that they are motivated to participate. So that's one of the roles that you have, is regular communications. It is part of, and part of the training is going to be, I'm going to show you some of the examples that we have, is that you create a regular discipline to send them communications early in the morning, later in the day, conversations in the forums, so that people know that the facilitator is engaged and that they are constantly being provided with information to help them complete the course. There are always going to be questions, especially at the beginning of the course, so your role is also providing the clear guidelines about what is the role of the role as a participator in the course. They're going to be needing some instructions about how to upload information on certain questions about the content. That is one of the roles that you need to be clear about it. Constant support, helping people understand when they need to submit their work. If they are not submitting, their participation in the forums is not complete. And above all, try to be flexible. That's the idea behind these online courses, that you're not on a specific time during the day, that people will have 2 weeks, about maybe even more than that, 3 weeks to complete their work. So there is flexibility that you need to build in that role to make sure people are getting used to the system, used to the process, used to the forums, and able to then get them into the challenge of managing all of those constraints and making sure that they are able to meet the deadlines of the course. Any questions about this role as a facilitator so far? Very good. We're clear that we are not asking as a facilitator that you're a subject matter expert in project management, and they are not supposed to expect that you will be able to answer every single question behind that. One of the things that we're going to build into the course, and as part of the Train the Trainer, is going to be that every course will have a special forum for Train the Trainers, where you can have other people who are also facilitating the courses have a private conversation. So whenever you start a course and you have a question coming from somebody from the class, from one of the students that you don't know, and that's normal, you have the option to use the discussion forum for the trainers as a way where you can come up together with an answer. Most of the questions are going to be on terms of, how do I use this in my organization? How do I apply this in my work? What is the challenges in terms of applying this concept or these tools or these ideas? And that is important, that these conversations sometimes are taken outside and into this special area where you can discuss with people and then come back with an answer. Sometimes there might not be a direct answer, a specific answer, and there will be a follow-up. But ideas that have that flexibility built into the process and the role as a facilitator. Very good. We'll go into the course structure. You're all familiar with the first element of the course. Whenever people log into the system, that is the first element they will see, the welcome message. And the welcome message usually is a message that provides you some of the concepts, basic concepts. We have the learning guide, which is a structured document that helps students understand what they need to do. And we have those 3 forums. The news forum, that is going to be your forum. You're going to use this to communicate to all the students on a daily basis. They cannot reply to that. It's been designed so that people don't go to this additional forum. But it's your channel in which you create the forums and you start building kind of a trail of communications that people can always at any time go back, look at the news forums, and they can read all the different messages that you supply during the week. The help desk forum is that for people that have any technical problems, that will be the place where they can ask questions like, I'm having problems, I cannot see the videos, or I cannot upload the documents. And the open forum is designed to give a space that you can use to discuss items that are outside the topics of the discussion forums in the week. For example, somebody might have an interest in a specific area, and then you can guide them to the open forum. I use the open forum at the beginning to get people some sense of a feedback on terms of their expectations about the course and make a presentation. So it's a good place where people can have an open space where they can speak up about their expectations about what they want to learn, how they want to apply it, and becomes a space also for new material or new ideas that people are having. One of the things that we're going to add to the course, and if you can see now, is the case study. The case study now is going to be this a documentation on specific information of a project that we will use during the whole course, so that people will have a reference when we're asking questions either on the forums or in the exercises. And the case study is a document that brings a little bit of context to the learning process. It helps them also to have an understanding about how you apply certain ideas and concepts, and you look at actual project documentation. So that is another thing that we added in the course. Here is the Train of Trainers forum that is going to be visible only for people in the trainers who have the role of trainers. It's not going to be visible for students. So whenever people log into that place, you're going to be able to have a connect or contact with other trainers. You can add a new discussion topic, and only people who are registered in the course with the role of trainers will be able to see and answer those questions. So that is an environment that will keep into these courses, with the idea that it will be your space where you can have some support. Now, one of my roles is also to be part of that forum in the first sessions that will go live. So I know Carolina is planning and Dylan are planning for a session of this course happening in a couple of months. In the first course, I'm going to be part of that team behind the scenes, supporting the people or the first persons who are going to be facilitating the course. The idea behind that is that it's also a place where you have any questions about how do I grade the course, or how do I respond to these kind of questions. So there will be a space where you're going to be able to get that level of support. I'm going to go to the old course because I want to show you the content that we used to have in that first week. Ideally, that first component of these courses are opened about maybe 5 days, 4 days before the actual start of the day. Why? Because this will be the kind of information that is not necessarily related to the training, but it's important for them to understand. So you have the welcome message with some guidelines and the news forum. So when people log in, they're going to be able only to see that first screen on the page. And on Monday, when you start the course, then they will be able to see module 1, and then you activate module 2. I'm going to teach you later how to do all of these elements. But let's look first at the welcome message. That is something that you might need to personalize it a little bit. All of you have access to this site. We're going to use both the old course and the new course. And the welcome message basically is a way to start establishing some basic rules, some basic elements about what's going to happen in the course. There may be some additional information you want to do. But at the end, I always sign up with my name. So this is going to be the text that is available in all the courses, and you need to customize it a little bit to fit your own personality and place your name and add whatever additional information you want to add. And that is important because that begins to start and establish the relationship that you're going to have with the people, all the students, on this virtual environment. So having a clean message, very concise, that introduces people about what's going to be the course, what's going to be the main components of it, and add a little bit of terms of who you are in the course. So that is a welcome message that whenever you are assigned a new course, you will have to read it and try to make some edits to that. The second document is our learning guide. In the learning guide, that's where we place some information about the objectives, what is online learning, the resources that are going to be available, the activities that are part of the training course, and some expectations in terms of their commitment and responsibilities. So these are basic guidelines that will be used during all the courses. You don't need to make any changes to that. We have the course evaluation in terms of what's going to be the percentages, and that helps people understand where we are placing the effort in terms of grading, like discussion forums and the exercises, they all have a grade. In this course, as we start moving, and we'll have that tomorrow on Wednesday, I'm going to show you how to uh, put a grade on the discussion forums and also grade on exercises, and you're also going to have the opportunity to exercise on that. So that's the idea behind all these two initial messages about the course. Let me go back and let's go to the news forum. In the news forum, the moment you are assigned as a facilitator, you will have the ability to add a new topic. The students who log in, they will not be able to see this special button that says add a new topic. They will only see all your messages, and that's where you place it. There is no specific guidelines in terms of how you want to use it. Sometimes I like to organize them based on what is important. Here's the discussion, my first welcome message. And the replies are my own replies. So when I click on welcome and I put my first message, welcome everybody to the course. It's a little bit slow, but we'll get to it. I give them, that's my personal message. I'm officially launching the course. I tell them what's going to happen, and I give them, and I reply to that. So maybe a couple of hours later, you can see I started at 8 a.m. That was the morning of Monday when I started the course. And then a little bit later in the afternoon, I sent them another email, another message. Now remember that everybody who's registered to this course, they will receive these messages by email. And then I post this message, and the system will automatically send the messages. I think it's scheduled to send it every hour. So there is a system that collects all the information and sends it on a regular hourly basis. And then again, that's the idea. You create those messages, people can see them and read them, and you create this structure of communication with them. For example, let me give you the second week of discussions and topics where I gave them all the instructions of what's going to be happening during that week, so explaining what's going to happen. So there is this thread of information that people will start getting on a regular basis every day in their emails. They don't need to respond to this. These are information. Now, the help desk forum is the one that they have access and they can post questions. So that is a forum that is open. Nobody asks a question at that time, but they can click on add a new topic, and the people who are responsible for providing us support on the online course will get a copy of that email. If they don't have access to that, here's their email, and I place the email of the technical person. So you can place here, people are going to be writing down what they need. They will post it, and somebody will get it. People who are giving us the technical support will get that message and will be able to reply. As a facilitator, you don't need to worry about this. You're going to be able to just look at some of the issues they may have. Sometimes they are not technical, they are more about the content. But it is that once you have that text, and there's going to be somebody replying to that, so that other people can also see that when they log in into the help desk, they see there is a problem with uploading or whatever it was, the original problem, then they can see the answer. And that's the idea. So that we have a history of all the problems and the solutions that people can then look at it. I'm going to delete it so that we don't wake up our friends in Panama who might be getting this message from an old course. So basically that element of the structure on the help desk is the one that's going to be helping you manage all of those components. Let me go back to my presentation. And let's see now. We had help desk forums, but we still need to look at our open forum. The open forum is up to you in terms of how much you want to use it. From my perspective, I like to use it to start the initial conversations. So you can open it before you start the course. You can send a message on a Thursday or on a Friday. Give them some time. And in that space, you can then post some information to let them know what are your expectations about the course, what do you think about your role in using this information. So it could be a place where you're going to have some conversations that are not structured or not necessarily related to the content of the course. And in many cases, people might have a specific question, so they want to share something. You can direct them to the open forum. Module 1, that is the second element of our course, is that where we have the materials of the presentations, we have the discussion forum, the exercise, and reference material. Let me go back to my page. So in the new course, what we haven't changed anything in terms of the presentations. They're still available. That is information that people will watch. They will have then access to discussion forum and the exercise and reference material. That information will be only available when you activate that on Monday. How do you activate that on Monday? Look at this icon up here, the turn editing on. That is available only to trainers. When you click on it, you will see that the page changes and gives to each one of these elements the option to be edited. Let's wait a little bit. There it goes. So you've seen those changes. You see this icon right here that has an eye. That means that I can make it available or not available. So when I click on it, then students will be able to see that week. If I click again on it, the students will not be able to see it. So it's just a single click to hide that information. So on Monday AM, your first task will be to activate and show that week. And then you can go back, turn it off. And one of the additional features that you have in the course is the ability to see how the course looks from a perspective of a student. Right now, you're looking at the course from the perspective of a trainer, and I can see now that module, the first module, has those gray bars. That means it's active. The other ones are not active. I'm gonna go to the menu to the left side, and I'm gonna switch my role to student. So I'm gonna see the course as a student, just to make sure that they cannot see the other modules. Right here, you see, not available, not available. Only when the trainer activates that module, that component for the week will be available. Right now, we have module 1 of the week. People, when they log in, they will be able to see it. And that way, in a sense, they will be able to do the work. The idea behind why we activate this is that people need to move at the same pace. If you have the whole course available, there's going to be always people who like to jump ahead and going to be trying to finish the course in a week. And that is not the purpose. Yes, you can read all of that in a few hours. You can look at all the information, do all the exercises. But the idea behind online learning is that it's a social learning process. You learn more from the interactions you have with your classmates, with other colleagues. It's not about learning and memorizing and taking a test. It's about what I learned and how then I can describe it from my context, from my experience, and then see how other people from the organization, maybe from different places of the organization, answer the same question from their own context and perspective. And in that process is that where they bring their own knowledge. And that's where you learn too. You don't only learn from what you have on the presentations or in the material, you also learn from the interactions that you have with other colleagues. And that is the important element of this online training methodology. that in those discussion forums, people are going to be discussing. And that's why it's important that they all are concentrated to work during that week, and they don't jump and try to answer questions that are maybe ahead of what we're trying to do. So your role as a facilitator is to try to guide them through those steps by making sure that they complete all the work they need to do during that week. And when that is complete, then they can move to the next week. That way, they start building their understanding, they start building their knowledge about certain concepts with the interactions they have with the system, with the material, but also with interactions with their classmates, with their colleagues. And that is a lot of the richness that happens when everybody's at the same time. And that's why, again, the emphasis that your role as facilitator is to make sure that people are engaged and communicate and they follow the process that we have. So all those daily communications are mostly engaged, are mostly designed to make sure that people are following those discussions. Many times during the week, I will send them a message saying, please go back to the discussion forum. We have very good answers, and people go back and they read some of the answers and they engage in those conversations. Very good. Let's go back to my presentation and we look at that. The presentations on that week one is about the concept, the beginning of the project, the analysis of the problem, and the planning. In the case study, we are now including some of that information. We have the project concept format that we're going to be asking students to review it and complete it. There is the analysis. They're going to be able to see the log frame design, the problem tree, information about the case study, and elements of planning. The discussion forum always follows the concepts that we have presented during that week. The same thing with the exercise and access to reference material. Week two is very similar to that concept in terms of what's going to be happening with the trainers. You activate module 2. People will be able to have access to the presentations, same discussion forums, the exercises, and access to the reference material. The week 2, in the project cycle, the concepts is going to be about monitoring, the evaluation, and the learning. And the discussion forums will pick on those subjects to start having the conversation so that people have an opportunity to have a better understanding about what is monitoring, evaluation, and learning from their own perspectives. And in that exchange of ideas, that's where they're going to be able to get a better understanding of what it means and how that can be beneficial, so how you apply it into your job. The last element of our cross structure is the closing activities that will be activated at the end of the second week, and where you have these 4 elements. The case study analysis, which is the final exercise, where people will need to answer some questions and develop some information. The course evaluation survey, where they need to evaluate the course and the trainer and the facilitator. A coaching forum that will be available for a period of time, usually 30 days, for anybody who might have a question after the course has completed, because they won't have access to the discussion forums. So you create that special space where anybody might have a question later. A week later, somebody might say, I forgot about where to find this or where to get that, or I didn't know. That will be the area where they might have also an opportunity to ask that questions, and you will be able to provide them the link or give them the additional information or anything that you need. The idea of coaching forum is more about helping them apply their knowledge, apply what they learn in the course into their day-to-day work. They might have questions about where do I find this specific document or this template or this example that was shared during the course, and that will be the place where they can go ask the question. So that will be the part of information that you will need to send them. And again, another folder with additional reference material. A lot of what happens during the end of the course usually takes us another week. Officially, they don't need to start working on discussion forums anymore or watching any presentations. They will work on the analysis of that case study. They will be given a specific delivery time. And once they complete that, then you will be able to grade it, and they will be able to see their final course grade. But it's important that they understand that there is these areas that are also important. The satisfaction survey is also a way to help us measure the course, identify areas that we need improvements, and hopefully we'll start collecting that information. The organizations are collecting that information on a regular basis to see and start measuring our standards for delivering this course. You can have in this survey, eventually, every time somebody facilitates the courses, they will have that information provided, and it will be a way to start measuring how I did it, where there were areas that I need to improve next time. And I use that a lot, and I recommend that you use it. Don't take it personally sometimes when people say I didn't like it, or it was too slow, or too fast, too short, or too long. Those are elements that eventually they can help later whenever there's a need to make changes or improvements to the course. That is information that we can use to make those changes. But they help you. They give you a good insight in terms of how people felt about the course. The Moodle setup is a process that needs to happen every time a new course is created. So the course that you saw at the beginning, this course on project management, right, the 2015, there is a process in which for every date, for every course, we need to send a request to our colleagues in the virtual campus. They will practically create a clone of this course, and they will change the dates for when that course is going to be available. So if you're planning to have a course that's going to happen in June or in September, there is a process, internal process in the organization. Dylan knows about it, and that way they get the instructions, they make a copy of this course, and they create a clone. Dylan, one question. They have a form, right? They request a form that needs to be filled every time the course is created. Fantastic. So that will be the process in terms of requesting the course, and then in that process, there's also who's going to be the people assigned to be the trainer or co-trainers in the course. So that's information. You usually send the name and the email. And for example, here I can see the names of the people that are participants on the course based on the role. So I have the teacher, and when I click on the teacher, that is my picture. When I see non-editing teacher, those are teachers that don't have access to make any changes or edits, but they can see a lot of the background data and information. So that will be the role of the other co-facilitators in the course that are going to be providing you with support as you're delivering the course. Go ahead. Sí. Sí, te escucho. Sí, lo que recomiendo es mínimo tener 2 personas. Exacto. Muy bien. The recommendation will be you always have two people. There's going to be one who is the teacher. That person will have the role to answer all the questions and guide them, use the course messages, is the main point of contact for the course. There is going to be, and you can add, especially in the first courses, until you start building the process and getting the experience, then you can have only one person. But the role of the second person could be to help in those discussion forums only. So you will have one teacher assigned with the role of a teacher. That person will be in charge of all the setup and making sure that the course messages are placed, in charge of sending all the communications to the people and placing the questions on the forums. The non-editing teacher or the co-facilitator will help in the discussion forums only for those areas that you explained. That it's not necessarily one person may know everything. You have two people who can then engage in the discussion forums. That will be the recommendation until you start building enough of a knowledge base within your trainers that basically you end up having kind of a menu or a book of all those answers and questions that happen in the courses. And basically every course you're going to see that happens the same, and you can practically repeat the same answer. But for the first time that we're launching the courses, the facilitator will be supporting only the discussion forums. Make sense? As we make progress on the course tomorrow and the next days, we're going to be looking at a lot of that interactions, and that's where we're going to have a better, clear idea about how we can then solve that situation. Hello, go ahead. You can assign them in groups. You can group them, and you can have forums for group one and forum for group two, where only people on group one will be able to see information on group one. So you can organize that by groups. Right. You will have to design internally how you want to organize that. You can do it, yes. But if the course is only 20 people, I will not recommend that you do that because there's a lot of richness that happens in the conversations. More than 20, when you have 30, 40 people, yes, break them down because the forums can become very noisy and they're not useful. But usually in a group of 20, I've noticed that it's a good space where people have a lot of interactions. Now, out of those 20 people, 5 are going to be constantly on the forum, another 10 are going to be responding 2 or 3, and the other last 5 will only do the minimal requirements. So don't think that you're going to have like 400 answers or 400 posts on a forum. It usually have between 60 and 70 posts per forum on a group of 20 people. And most of the questions, most of the interaction happens among the participants. So they're not directed to the teacher. He's not responsible for answering every question that people have. And that's how we design the questions. That we ask the questions and we also ask people to respond to the question of somebody else, to comment on somebody else's questions. And that's where the engagement happens. So your role as a facilitator mostly is guiding. In many cases, you will see a forum and I will say, oh, I saw that Pamela made a very good comment on the case study. Can anybody think about another example? So you guide that conversation and people will respond that. Go ahead. Yes, that is will happen now in the new setup. I'm going to show you the old discussion forum. This is the previous course. And you see a discussion forum with 29 replies. And that's where everybody were responding, and we were having that situation where people say, yes, I agree too, right? So there's no value in people asking that. What we changed now in the course, I'm taking you now to the new version, to the forum on discussion 1.4, and it's called the Q&A forum. The Q&A forum has a functionality, and it's right here. It's called the Q&A forum, question and answer forum. So you're gonna post a question, it's gonna be available, somebody will go in, will answer that question from the instructor, but everybody else will not see the answer until you post your question. The idea behind that is that there is equal opportunity for everybody to answer the questions from their own perspective, compare their questions with somebody else's, and also gives you opportunity for original and independent thinking. That is the concept between the Q&A setup. So as a trainer, for me, it has more value when I see how people think and react to a question in the forum, and I can see how they do it. But even as a student, I am not influenced by somebody else's answers, or I can copy and paste and copy or try to come up with that. So when I log in into the forum, I only see the question. I don't see the answers from the other students. I post my question based on what I know, based on what I believe is the correct answer. And then the system will let me see the answers from all the other students, and that's where I can compare it. So we'll have that feature now in all the forums on the new course. Very good. Let me go back to my slide. The process to make the Moodle setup usually takes an hour or less. What is important is that when it's requested, you will have access to the site. Your role will be as a teacher, and you may need to make sure that everything in that site it follows a basic quality control. Your technical support is somebody who's going to be assigned by the virtual environment. Every facilitator, you will have somebody providing with the technical support. It's important you contact them before the start of the course. So make sure that whoever's been assigned, usually it's 1 or 2 people, you have their emails or they are part of the course. And anybody will always have a problem. They will tell you, teacher, I cannot upload my work, or I cannot do this. And you try to direct those questions to the technical support, either using the discussion forum for the technical support, or providing them with their email whenever they have questions. Or sometimes you even forward their email to the technical person. You shouldn't be spending any time trying to deal with those technical problems. And I'm going to give you a basic checklist that you can use at the beginning of every course. So when you're assigned a new course, the checklist will be a simple way to make sure that all the setup in the course is ready. Things that will be in that checklist, make sure that the dates are correct. By dates, I mean these dates. When you go back to the course, you're going to see that the moment they create the course, they will assign the dates the course will start, and these are the dates. So for example, I created those dates for March and April. If the course is going to start on March or on May 25th, whatever the date, that will be the date that you need to check to make sure. And because it's managed by weeks, each one of these modules is a week, the system will automatically count the next module starting the week after and the last week. So those are the first things you need to make sure that when they make a copy that they have the right dates. Otherwise, you might have some problems when people are logging in and they don't find what they need. The other ones, to make sure you have the role of the teacher, so you can make some of those actions like activating the modules, activating the weeks. Make sure that you mark week 1, 2, and 3 as invisible before the students log in. And that's what we did last time, that when you click on turn editing on, because they're going to give you the course and it's going to be open. So you don't want to start giving access to students once they go in and see everything. The idea is that you try to pace the process of learning by making sure that now that module, and the last module are invisible at the beginning of the course. So during the pre-week activities, before the start of the course, make sure that all of those three modules are not visible, and people, when they log in, they only be able to see the welcome message, the learning guide. They need to spend time there. And that's also the time that you have before the beginning of the course. So when people are logging in, they're uploading their profiles, and you send them some messages, it takes time for people to be organized and the time they are already available on Monday. That's why it's important to start the course 2 or 3 or 4 days before that Monday, to give them enough time to resolve any technical issues, to understand the learning guide, understand the process that's going to go around the course, the use of the different forums. So once they are ready and once they are available to work on it, then on Monday morning, you just activate that module. You need to send, or somebody will be also in charge of sending the list of the students to the virtual campus. So you have all the people who are going to be taking the course. There's going to be a list. They need to upload it. They have a process in which they will send an invitation to people so that they can log in into the course. If they already have an account, they will be assigned to the course. If they don't have an account, they will have to create an account. That is the job of the virtual campus, and they will take care of that. And during that week, during the processing, you're setting up the course, is you monitor their access. You do that once you are in the course. You click on the left menu, participants, and that's where you're going to be able to see all the people that have been registered to the course and what is their current status. In this case, my name, last time I accessed, it will tell you, and everybody else who didn't have the time to access. So it's never, never, never. I hope that by tomorrow you'll have a chance to log in and start looking at the course. So we'll change this into last day access, 1 hour or 20 hours before. How I use this list is that before or even on Monday, I look at the list and I look at that maybe there are 2 or 3 people that haven't accessed the course yet. That's when I try to send them personal messages, and I tell them, we're starting the course. We're gonna start with the forums tomorrow. It's important that you log in. But all your classmates are already in the course. That is what I do at that moment. So that helps me understand where people are. And if somebody is delayed, and it's been a week that's been not being able to access the course, then there's no point in trying to make sure that people is trying to catch up, because it's not going to be beneficial for them. So my recommendation is somebody's been late for a week already, trying to catch up after a week. It's very difficult, if not impossible for times, and they miss a lot of that interaction that happens in the forums. Remember, this is not a course where people learn something by memory and they take a test. It's more about how they share their understanding with others and they build a common knowledge about the specific. Go ahead. Sí, sí, debería tenerlo. Exacto. Exacto. Esa es la primera tarea que tienen. Muy bien. So the idea is that during that pre-week of activities, you monitor their access, making sure that everybody is logged in and ready to start. So that on Monday, you activate the first week and people then can start with their learning activities. So when people log in the first day before week 1, this is their screen. So they're going to be able to see only the first one, but all the other modules are not going to be available. And that's something you also need to explain in the news forum, that you're going to activate every week on Mondays so that people will follow the sequence of activities. That is our list again, all those access that we have, and use that information to monitor who's been able to access, and those who are late, make sure that before we start the course, send them messages to make sure that they are able to log in. Some of the basic Moodle functionality that's going to be available to you is basically the course administration in changing the course dates. You can also register students to the course. If for any reason the people from the technical support are having problems or whatever, if the person is already in the system, maybe a participant from another course, you can find that person and you can add it to the course. That is a functionality, and we'll see that in tomorrow, how to do that. You also have the ability to see certain course reports that will help you understand the participation of the students. You can see some charts, and we'll see that tomorrow. You can also see the course grades, where you can look at the progress that everybody's doing in the course. You have administration rights to the forums and to the exercises, where you can also grade the different participations and work that people do. We'll do that tomorrow and Wednesday. We'll do the exercises, and I'll leave you with some homework that you can also do as we start working on this training. This is my homework for all of you. We are 5 minutes away from 1 p.m. I'm going to send you to the discussion forum that we have in the course, that Train of Trainers forums, and some guidelines about Moodle. I'm going to give you some basic chapters that you need to read. This is a big guidelines. It's like, I think it has 100 pages. You don't need to read all of them. I'm going to tell you what specific areas you need to read so that you're familiar with some of the concepts. But it's a guideline. So if you have any questions, you can look at it and find and explore. It's going to be your how to use Moodle document. Use today and tomorrow to become familiar with the basic functionality navigating based on what you read and based on your role as a trainer. Don't worry if you break or you add or change anything on the course right now. It is that's the purpose right now. We can add tests, forums, anything. We'll play with it. That's the idea. We'll also be looking at how discussion forums and grading. We'll practice that on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll also look on tomorrow course reports, grade reports. So try to become familiar with a little bit of these elements as you start reading the Moodle guidelines, and that will be something that will make you ready for the type of activities we'll have tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, especially because you're going to be having to do some interactions and play the role of the trainer, of the facilitator. We're going to take turns in uploading exercises, grading them, grading a forum. You're going to be see all that behind the scenes functionality that we have on the course. Very good. That is basically all that I had for you on our first session of Train the Trainers. Any questions, any comments, any complaints? We're hungry? Not yet. We're ready for lunch or not? Very good. Try to log in whenever you have time today. I'll post that information on the guidelines of Moodle and some instructions. Plus, tomorrow I'll see you at the same time. I'm recording the session so that we'll have that available to any one of our colleagues who didn't make it. I will post a link on the course where we'll be able to then follow up. Tomorrow we'll look at information on the content of some information about how to manage the users, how to manage the students. So we have a full hour of interaction for tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.